It's a beautiful day in the great state of Texas. It's a beautiful day. Sun is out. Peace that crazy. Hope everything is well with you. I am back to life, back to reality. Just trying to get to my destination. And then we will start chatting. New moon in Pisces. A new course in miracles. Of course, I wanted to do this at home, my normal way, and pull up the chart, talk about it, but that didn't pan out this time. And now I'm hoping, oh man, I hope I even brought with me, I printed out a chart and I hope I brought it with me. As soon as I get parked, I can double check. But I printed out the chart for the new moon. But as I'm driving, I don't remember me putting that in my bag. But we'll figure it out. I think the new moon is officially at, I think it's at 6:44 p.m. Central Standard Time. So you can adjust to wherever you are in the world. But if my memory serves me correct, it's at 6:44, 6:45 this evening. And there's a lot of symbolic energy around this. Especially dealing with the number 9. Let's see here. Get this bad boy turned around. Okay, so now, because I'm getting to the school late, I'm gonna have to get on it in order to have time to, so I got my ephemeris. I got to find this chart because I know I printed it out. But did I bring it? That's the question. Either way, if I didn't, fine. I got too much going on. Either way, I don't know if I brought the chart with me. But either way, peace to everybody. So again, talking about this new moon in Pisces today, and I call it a new course in miracles. And we will have this grand stellium that will be the sun, the moon, Saturn, Mercury, Neptune. We also have the North Node there in Pisces. So we've got 7 major points here in the sign of Pisces. Can y'all hear me? Just making sure. This is bothering me because I did print this thing out, and I wanted to be able to refer to the actual degrees. And for some reason, oh, I didn't put it in there. All right, well, we have to use an ephemeris. What's today? Today is a special day for us, my family. Anyway, it's my son's birthday. And he turned 9 years old today on 2/27, which is a 9. In the year of 2025, which is a 9. On a day where we have a new moon at 9 degrees of Pisces. So very interesting. But let's talk about this though, with this new moon. And we know what a new moon symbolically represents. It's a seeding point. It is where the luminaries come together, and there's this air of potential. But in the midst of this, all right, I'm back. Doggone call while I'm hate those while you're doing your live and it take you 12 years to get back on. I am she said, all right, your husband's birthday today. All right, salute. Y'all enjoy. So where was I going? The thing about this new moon is that Pisces is, not Pisces, but Mercury is in its detriment right now because it's in Pisces, or some people will call it its fall. And it's on the cusp of moving into its shadow, because tomorrow Mercury will get to 25 degrees of Pisces, which it will be entering its shadow. And some astrologers don't subscribe to the whole shadow thing, but for those of you who are interested, the way it is figured is simple. It is the range which a planet will travel during its retrograde phase. So Mercury will retrograde back to 25 degrees of Pisces. So that means right now, as it prepares to move to 25, it's going to move into the shadow, i.e. the range that it will move during its retrograde phase. So that means Mercury's moving into a time of review. But that review is going to come when it moves retrograde next month. We'll be reviewing what we do, how we communicate, how we move, how we transact business from now up until the point that it stations retrograde. I can't remember. I think it's the 2nd. It may be the 2nd of March, somewhere in there. We're going to be reviewing all of that back to it getting to 25. But this Mercury right now, either way, is in a difficult position because it does not have the natural environmental setup for it to be rational. It is in a very irrational space right now. There can be difficulty seeing the truth, difficulty differentiating between fantasy and reality, um, and but at the same time, there can be this type of hyper or heightened spiritual inclination because it's in a realm where it is fusing with more than just what is mundane. It is going beyond that. So that's one thing to keep in mind while doing this new moon energy. So Mercury's debilitated. It's lacking reasoning faculties. This can be a little dazed and confused type energy. This can be, and then another thing to keep in mind is that Mercury is sandwiched right now between Saturn, the North Node, and Neptune. So we got the North Node and Neptune are conjoined on one side of Saturn. They're at 28 of Mercury. Mercury's at 24. Saturn's at 20 degrees right now. So you got Saturn's fighting for foundation. It's fighting to find a bank to dock a boat at in the midst of all this Pisces water. It's looking for some type of foundation or structure. And Mercury is picking that up. So this is where pessimism may come in. Right? But then on the other side is Neptune and the North Node, to where we might be what they say, a little delulu, a little delusional, a little out of touch. So Mercury is sandwiched in the middle of all this right now, and is and at the same time it's debilitated. So it is tough right now to maybe figure out the how of things, because the how of things is Mercury and Virgo. How are we going to get this done? How are we going to make sure that everyone doesn't starve? Well, we got to do the work and we got to harvest the crops. Virgo. This is how our society continues to thrive and survive. We have to do the work. So that's Mercury and its how bag. Now, but it's not in its how bag right now. It's in its what. Mercury. So in other words, the realm of Pisces is like, what is it that you would imagine? What would you see to be, what would you see to come into reality? What would you manifest? What would you envision? What? Before you figure out how you're going to do it, what would it be? If I dare say, what's the dream? And so there is this impetus, which means there's something here about letting go. There's something in this energy about letting go. Letting go with the preoccupation of, well, how could that be done? How could that get done? Because there's so much going on here that is not rational. Okay? Now, again, I said today is 227, that's a 9. It's 225, that's a 9. And it's 9 degrees of Pisces. technically 9 degrees 40 minutes, but you get the point. So I started looking at some things that deal with the 9. I looked at the Hebrew letter Shin, because when you spell that letter out in full, it's a Shin, it's a Yud, and it's a final Nun, and that adds up to 360. And 360, 3 and 6 is a 9. So there's something here about revolution and revelation. There's something in the energy mix right now about things coming around full circle, which is a revolution, and about in things coming around full circle, something being revealed, or better yet, unveiled, in this moment of things coming full circle, things being brought into the awareness. Okay, keep that in mind. Something else I looked at. If we take the fact that literally the new moon is at 9 degrees and 40 minutes, then I looked at the gematria 940, and I looked at one of the words that has a value of 940 is Mitzrayim. And Mitzrayim is the Hebrew version of Egypt, or one of the names for Egypt in Hebrew, Mitzrayim. And if you think about from the tale of the mythology, children of Israel coming out of Egypt, Mitzrayim, and we thinking about from a metaphysical standpoint, it is talking about coming out of the land of barrenness, coming out of lower nature, and coming out, moving up from the lower chakra, if you will, and raising the snake up, i.e. an awakening. Okay? Then another word that has a value of 940 is mitz. Mitz is a word for calf or shaft. You know, the thing about separate the wheat from the chaff. And so the chaff then will coincide with what we just said symbolically about Egypt or Mitzrayim, because it's where everything is mixed. It's why we got the refined and the unrefined, and we got to go through and sift through and separate, you know, the actual wheat that's going to be for sustenance, and the chaff, which is just it is not edible. So we're separating. So I felt like there was something in this energy cycle too, that's a message around that. A separation from the crowd, a separation from the herd, a separation of the creme de la creme from the muck, because cream, what they say, cream rises to the top. A movement out of a state of bondage, a movement out of feeling that you are in bondage and that you are being held down. And we keep in mind that Mars recently stationed direct, and that this Mars, you know, we've been catching hell. I've been catching hell with Mars, and not only in Cancer, but on top of it being debilitated in Cancer, it's been doubly debilitated because it's been retrograde. So we get a little bit of grace with Mars. At least it's direct. You know, every couple of years it has this long cycle through a sign. It was Gemini, but this has been much more intense because it's been in Cancer. Okay, so we looking forward to it climbing up out of Cancer. It's gonna make that last opposition to Pluto, which that will be intense. But We'll take that because it'll be Mars is gonna be zooming. When Mars is direct, it zooms, you know. But there's a feeling of coming out of bondage, is what I'm trying to say. That I'm associating with this 940 Mitzrayim and the mitz as in the chaff, you know, being separated. The chosen being separated, you know, the cream rising. I feel like there's a signature around that. When I'm moving, I get a chance to park again, and I'll wrap this up. Because the next thing I want to look at is the word miracle. Because if we were going to associate a sign with miracle, what other sign could we associate with it that would be more relevant than Pisces? You know, Pisces to me is the epitome of miraculous, because it does not necessarily make sense. A miracle does not seem like something that is rational, you know. But I want to look at this word miracle, and when you go to its root, Indo-European root, it really means smile, is what miracle means. And the word miracle comes out of that family. We get the Latin mirus, and mirus means to be smiled at. Now, whenever you hear a word with myrrh in it, mir, myrrh, mar, any of those that have the MR consonant, that automatically is going to directly or indirectly bring in water. That's why we have Mary, maritime, you know, marsh, you know, all these things are denoting water, something aquatic. Now, that also is going to denote something feminine. But in water, if you know the story about Narcissus, okay, he saw his image in the water. Part of that is showing us that the connection between the mirror and the water, because the water could arguably be the first mirror. And linguistically, the word mirror comes from the same family as miracle, mirage, admire, admiration. These all come from the same family, and it's talking about a smile, a reflection. And if we bring in the word reflection, we're talking about reciprocity, because reciprocity is a reflection of the energy that you put out. And a smile is also talking about something to look at. When you go and look into when you trace smile back, in one regard, smile refers to being looked at, which again denotes a reflection. Now, what does this have to do with to this whole conversation? Just to backtrack, we're talking about the new moon in Pisces, and Pisces rules over mirages. It rules over miracles. Pisces is associated with imagination. These words, imagination, mirror, mirage, miracle, these are all words that are associated with Pisces, and they deal with reflection, reciprocity, which ultimately then deals with karma. So this energy, that we're dealing with right now where Mercury is debilitated and it can't quite get its bearings, at least from the standpoint of being rational. It is as if we're having a new course in miracles. New course in miracles, as in this: the miracle you see now is the reflection of something that unfolded in some previous timeline. The miracle you see now is the reflection, i.e., reciprocity, of something that unfolded in some previous timeline. Which would mean that I'm suggesting that we're in a period of miracles, and I am. Now, then we would have to say, how does a miracle look? Because we may get cheated out of the realization of the miracle because we're looking for it to come a certain way. A miracle is the sudden realization of reciprocity. And the ability to see and recognize a miracle will have great determining factor in the amplification of further miracles. Because you got to be able to see the ones that are already present in order to enjoy those that will feed off of your recognition of right now. So let me give you an example of what I'm saying. I've been sick for the last week, right? Some respiratory bug. Now I'm going to give you an example of miracles that may not seem like a miracle to you, but they were miraculous to me. And remember, when I'm speaking of miracle, I'm speaking of a reflection. I'm speaking of something you can look at, something you can recognize, and it's reciprocity. So I had all 4 children over at the house. So my oldest 2, the teenagers, I said, look, my wife was at work. I said, girls, I need help. I don't feel good. I don't have the energy to even get up. I need y'all to step in the gap for me. They took turns. They figured out who gonna wash dishes, who gonna put everything up, who's gonna heat up the food for everybody, such and such and such. Wasn't no griping, wasn't no complaining. Hey, I need y'all to throw this in the washing machine for me. Da 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 da. And I said, you know what? I'm counting that as a miracle. Not that it's miraculous and it's out of the norm for these girls to want to help out, but it's miraculous given the times we're in. I had to be cognizant of the fact that my girls ain't on here shaking their behind on TikTok, on Instagram. They're not polluting themselves. They're not ashamed of me when I'm around. They're respectful. Yeah, they get on our nerves from time to time, but pound for pound, I'm like, this is a miracle. I'm looking at the reflection and I'm feeling like this is reciprocity. This is our work as parents. Look at it being reflected back. When I'm in a moment where I'm down, my wing is clipped, and I'm like, damn, look at that. Then Monday comes, and my daughter's and my youngest is in first, and she's reading Charlotte's Web, and so she's got she's got to finish chapter 9 and whatever. And I'm telling Henry, I say, Henry, I need help, buddy. I need you to sit with her more. And I need you to sit with her as she's reading because our dad is just too tired. He sits up there in the bed. And, I get up to go use the bathroom. I walk back in the bedroom. And just the picture of they're sitting all up under each other. And he's looking over her shoulder. No more. Sound that word out. And I'm just looking. And I said, this is a miracle. This is a miracle. Because, I'm seeing him reflect back my work. In other words, me being willing to sit and help my children read, go over their homework. That time, whatever that time that I've spent, innumerable hours at different times, putting in work where you don't feel like you get no fanfare for, not in this society, to be able to see it, like it come back to me, like he's sitting there helping her. This is me getting my get back. Although I'm down and I'm feeling, like trash, but damn, that lifted my spirits. I saw the products of my labor. So that's what I'm trying to say about a new course in miracles. Like sometimes we're looking for the miracle to look a certain way, and you got to recognize it at face value in that moment and honor it. And sometimes we don't always do it. I don't always do it. But it's a beautiful thing when you can be in that moment. The 2 days my wife was off, Friday and Saturday, she's like, she said, lay in the bed, don't get up, take advantage of these 2 days while I'm here. Don't get up. And I'm feeling bad because she done worked all week, but now, I ain't able to even, I like to have the dishes cleared out for her when she get home. I didn't have it in me, but that was a miracle. That if your woman will say, look, relax, don't worry about it. I'll stand in the gap. Chill. Here you some tea. Here you some soup. Da 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 da. These are miracles. They're little minor things. Maybe, or maybe they're really big. And it may seem like I'm all over the place, but I'm trying to say that sometimes the preoccupation with what we call the necessities of life, which everything in this society is set up to dial in on your adrenals, your cortisol levels, your blood pressure, everything to keep you in fight or flight, fight or flight, fight or flight. And to make it difficult for you to step aside and just to be like, sometimes just to pat yourself on the back. Sometimes to honor each other. That's by design. It's by design. It is by design to keep us at each other's throats. This was designed to breed disharmony. This thing was designed for us to not be able to see each other's gifts, each other's value. But when you can have a moment of clarity, it's a miracle. And sometimes you have to separate from just the the rigors of this got to be done, that got to be done, cause Mercury's in a place now opposite its um exaltation in Virgo, where it's all about getting the job done and being practical and use some common sense, all of that. That shit ain't working for it in Pisces. And we're also having to use that old 4-letter word called faith. Called faith. Well, even if it does not on paper seem like I should be making it or protected, I still am. Not because I can prove it to you with some whatever, it's because I just know I am. And the fact that I know I am is enough. That is what the protection is. Me knowing that I'm protected is what the protection is. And that's the challenge on Mercury. Especially with Saturn barking on one side of it. But then next to it on the other side, the North Node and Neptune, like, what's a boundary? What's a deadline? And Saturn's on the other side, like, we gotta get serious about life. Things are being dissolved all around you. Gotta find a dock. I gotta dock this boat. Can't keep floating in this water forever. And on the other side, Neptune's like, man, shit, man. Water, flow, baby. Just flow. So we're being challenged to give in and actually use faith. Which you don't know what faith is until you have to actually use it. It's all theoretical until you actually have to use it. And it's that moment when you actually know what it is. Until then, it's just mental masturbation. So, Pisces is a great energy for planting seeds, according to the old Farmer's Almanac. Great for planting seeds. The ground is watery. Soil is the soil is starting to come alive again. It's starting to warm up a little bit, the soil, So I want to conclude by reading this. I got 5 minutes for, I'm going to read this and then I'm going to close it. I'm going to read this from Dane Rudyard's Astrological Mandala. Pisces, 9 degrees. A jockey spurs his horse, intent on outdistancing his rivals. Keynote: intense mobilization of energy and skill in the drive for success in any social performance affected by the competitive spirit. Since the end of the archaic ages and the stressing of individualism, especially in our American society, which worships the material images of success, the desire to win in any kind of race engenders an often feverish release of energy controlled by technical skill and long practice. Wherever this symbol is found, it indicates the need to spur one's total being towards speedy attainment of whatever goal it may be. This is the 4th cycle in the 68th series. Its technical significance is quite evident. Every superfluous weight, every unnecessary consideration is to be dismissed, or could we say dissolved, in the one-pointed attempt to reach one's social goal. Now, one-pointed is an Aryan reference. That's what Aries is. Aries comes out of the pool of Pisces where everything is undifferentiated, dissolved, and then it congeals into a single point. And then it jettisons forward. Aries does not know what looking over the shoulder and looking back is. So we're in a preparation phase to take off. Mercury and Mars, just so happen, has completed its retrograde phase in Cancer, and it is now preparing to move everything forward. So I conclude by saying, with this energy, keep your proverbial faith. Most importantly, faith in yourself. Keep your faith in yourself. And do not let your faith be dependent on your ability to answer the how all the time. Because if you can figure out the how all the time, then really that don't take no faith. It does not require faith when you always got a how. When well, how is this going to be done? How is this? And how? That ain't no faith. The faith is when you don't have all the answers, but you've been given an assignment and you're going to follow that assignment regardless. That's what faith is. So people can rattle off details and data and all this, but I'm not impressed by people with a whole bunch of knowledge who can't show me what they've demonstrated. Faith in their own life. Got all this knowledge just sitting around, waiting on the perfect situation. And then, nah, you can't tell me shit. I admire people who act on vision. That's what I admire. Because a whole bunch of data means nothing. So, believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. Know thyself. Trust thyself. Love thyself. And that's all there is to it. On that note, I'm going to wrap it up. 720astrology.com. Know the stars to know yourself. Enjoy this new moon energy and plant that seed, water that seed, talk to that seed, love on that seed, and watch that baby grow. Peace.